Hey, it's Phil Picott live at 2025 SUNnFUN here in Lakeland, Florida. I'm here with Bruno. You may recognize Bruno from his awesome YouTube channels. He's flying all over the country, all over the world pretty much. There was a video I saw of him in the Caribbean, or how do you pronounce it, the Caribbean or the Caribbean?
I call it Caribbean, but I don't know what's right because English is my second languge, so I'm not entitled to say what's right or not. I just roll with it.
Anyway, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're here at SUNnFUN doing some promotion work for Flying Eyes.
Yes. So I'm Bruno. I go as Fly with Bruno on social media. Been flying for 5 years. This is my fourth SUNnFUN. I just love coming here. Been working with Flying Eyes since the first SUNnFUN really, and it's always awesome to come here. Not only promote a great product. I use these sunglasses. I can't wear another brand of sunglasses just because these are so comfortable, especially for flying. And I get to meet, all my friends and all the people that work here.
And they're also paying you $1 million, right?
Yes, they're paying me. No, actually 990. No, okay. I'm trying to work towards the 1 billion mark.
The 99s. Yeah,
yes.
In any case, you've been flying for 5 years. So whatever inspired you to put your business out on social media? Because people who fly for 10 years, don't fly as well as you or me.
Mm-hmm.
That,
right.
You get criticism left and right. But I would only assume because of how you produce the projects each and every time, they come out awesome.
Thank you. So the reason why I do this, and frankly, being completely honest, when I started sharing in social media, right when I was doing my training, I had absolutely no desire, nor a will to have my content be seen by so many people. But it just so happened that it started growing and growing because of the things I was posting, and I guess there was a mix between being genuine, being passionate about it, and also being consistent with putting out content, that it started growing. But what happened, and it really triggered something in me, is I started having more and more people reach out to me and say, hey, you inspired me to start flying. You inspired me to go back to flying. One of the most amazing things that happened, I want to say recently, but I think a year ago, I posted a video on Instagram talking about how it's never too late to start flying. And this guy reached out to me and said, I am 70 years old. I live in New Jersey. Whoa. I just started, I'm getting my private pilot's license, and I'm buying a Grumman Cheetah because of your videos. And that to me was, I think, one of the best things that ever happened, because it was right there that I knew that somehow what I was doing, posting and flying and sharing adventures, was inspiring more people to get into aviation, no matter how old they are. And that to me is priceless. So from that day on, I realized that my mission really, and the thing that fuels me, is to know that every time I put something out, there's someone somewhere sitting on a couch that might go, oh, you know what? I might actually try to do this.
And maybe get off that couch.
Exactly, and get out the couch and sit on a much smaller seat, but behind an engine.
Now, how many subscribers do you have? Because I asked that question because for aviation enthusiasts, they probably go to your channel, but if you look at the content, because you tell a story behind what it is you're trying to do.
Yes.
Especially from the destinations. The Caribbean and
right.
Also the Hudson River corridor. Yeah. Where your wife was actually standing in a
100th floor of a building to catch a photo of me flying under her. So she was technically on the ground and still 400 feet above me, and I was on a plane.
And she caught the picture.
She caught the third try. She caught the picture. She's actually right there.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you talk about numbers and subscribers. I think in total I have 170,000 subscribers and followers, but I also, at some point during this journey, I realized it's not so much about how many people you have subscribed to you. Sure. It's about the value you add to the community with what we're doing. You may have people that have 2 million followers, but they are not really adding value or teaching or getting people to actually start in aviation. Whereas you may have someone who with 29,000 subscribers, who is a CFI, or who's actually inspiring people to go after what they dream. So I think that's the beauty of social media. That's what I'm trying to go after, and I realized that somehow at some point I started doing that. So I try to stick to it, knowing that whatever I put out might be an inspiration for somebody to get into aviation.
Now, you know, there are less than 1% of the world's population who hold a pilot's license or certificate.
Correct.
Which is like awesome, because I think you cater to so many different avenues and audiences.
Yes.
With the content.
Yeah, exactly. So to your point, I mean, we have it's so little people that can actually do this. Not so little, but like it's not a lot of people that can do this. And aviation legally, correct. And I'll say this: aviation inherently is getting old, right? Pilots are getting old. They are losing their medicals. The mechanics are getting old. They can no longer get in under an airplane to fix things. So what happens is, if we don't get more younger people on this funnel, general aviation will end up dying at some point, because a lot of people, or the majority of people, use it as a stepping stone towards an airline career. But without realizing all the fun, the joy, and the fulfillment there is in general aviation. They fly a Cessna 172 for how many hours they need in order to get to the next steps. Not realizing that you can take a 172 to the Bahamas, or you can cross the country in them, or you can, live all these share experience with friends, with family, and all of that stuff. So what I also try to do is show that if you're getting into GA, whether it's to go after an airline career, go after a jet career, or just to fulfill your dreams, there's a lot of fun to be had while you're here. Whether you're here for 50 years, or for 5 years, or for 5 months before you go into the ATP career, there's a lot of fun to be had. And a lot of people forget that, because what we see nowadays is like, you flying to every airport, I guarantee that you look on the ramp, you will see at least 5 to 10 planes that have been rotting on the sun because the owner can't fly anymore. They don't care about moving it out. They're not interested in paying for an annual and whatever. And there are so many people on the other side of the spectrum wanting to fly, wanting to buy a plane, wanting to get a hangar, and they can't. So
you hit the nail on the head. Hangar space.
Hangar space. So I think we need to get these planes flying. Planes are not meant to sit, on a ramp or on a hangar. They're meant to be flown. And I think the more the younger people, passionate people we get into the funnel, and if I can help with that, if I can help one guy get out of his or girl, get out of their couch and say, I'll give this a try, then my mission, my personal mission, is fulfilled.
Great. Now, what do you do when you're not flying? What is your career?
I built a career in advertising. I've been doing this for 23 years now, starting in 2002. Totally unrelated to aviation. And I wanted to be a pilot since I was a 5-year-old. In Brazil, that's something that's not easily achievable. Definitely not as achievable and affordable as it is here. It wasn't until I moved to the United States, thanks to my job 10 years ago, and that I met, through my wife, a pilot who flew a Cherokee at the time. And he took me on a $100 hamburger flight, which I didn't know what it was.
That was the bill.
No, he didn't.
He was
kind
a
enough.
really nice guy.
Yeah, but it was that day that I was like, you know what? I spent all these years studying on the side, watching videos on the side, educating myself because I was just so passionate about aviation. I might as well just give it a go, So I called a flight school, had no idea how to get started, learning at the time that as a foreign student, I had to go through a whole TSA background process check, that obviously I understand. And it wasn't until 6 months later that I could actually start my flight license officially. So I went through a lot of stuff, but still, like, my passion was always greater than any obstacles or difficulties that you face during flight training. Whether it's like, something, the flight training itself, the education, the learning. But I feel like if you're passionate enough, your heart will guide you far farther than any obstacles that you may find in the way.
Yeah, I had to ask that question because from a video quality production, I mean, you have cameras in the inside of the plane, outside of the plane. In fact, I do recall there was a story you put together on how many cameras you have and basically the ins and outs, the ABCs,
right,
and how to set something up for someone else.
Yeah, so. And I think so. Being honest, I mean, everybody flies with tons of cameras inside their planes, facing outside, facing inside, and all of that stuff. But I don't think everybody realizes that it's not so much about the footage you have, it's how you tell a story. And you tell a story that is inspiring, that is interesting enough to keep you watching for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, however long is your video. And I think that's one thing that I carried from my advertising career, like onto aviation. Because in advertising, you're really telling stories to sell something. I don't think I'm trying to sell anything here, other than the idea that you can achieve this if you work hard enough. And that's what I try to do with my videos. So I try to make my videos not just about, oh, I'm flying from A to B. You know, I try to make it interesting, like a story that you want to watch and perhaps learn something from. Watch my mistakes, or watch what I got wrong, what I got right, what are the things that I would do again, what are the things that I would definitely avoid the next time. And I think in doing so, I think those stories kind of come to life through my flights. So
I think, you know, with the cameras in the airplane, you become a better pilot.
Too, yes, because you want to get things right.
The audience, you have the FAA, I'm sure, watching you, but also you're cognizant of the fact that audiences out there, especially television audiences out there, don't have a lot to watch on TV.
Exactly.
So they go to YouTube.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
We have something very in common. I didn't work in advertising, but kind of sort of. I did some work for TV show Entertainment Tonight.
Nice.
Paramount Pictures. So
nice.
As I got into flying, I wanted to chronicle, you know, my aviation do's and don'ts, and that's how I got into it. So
fantastic. So that's really cool.
In terms of learning how to tell the story, you know, my emphasis mainly is fly the airplane, fly the airplane, fly the airplane.
Always.
So one of the other questions I have from one YouTuber to another, I live here in Florida, and even in, you know, my other home in Cape Cod, there's that dreaded issue with the cameras getting hot, and they just die and fizzle out.
Yeah.
So, do you have any tricks of the trade on that?
I'll tell you this. I suffered with that issue for a long time. I still haven't figured it out yet.
So when we figure it out, we make millions of dollars.
We probably will. We probably will. We'll become partners on something. Yeah. I had people reach out to me saying that they figured something out. Like they wrap up their cameras in aluminum foil, or, you know, like stuff like that. There's like sort of like a do-it-yourself type of like fixes.
Sure.
But it's like, I don't know. I wish there was a better way to do this, you know. But while we can, I just try to deal with it, you know, and to the best of my abilities, keep the camera rolling so I don't miss any good parts of the video.
That happens obviously with us YouTubers, but also most recently this week, Fox affiliate who had the pleasure of hopping on board the Blue Angels.
Right.
Her camera went kapooey.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that, but I'm also not surprised.
Now let's get into, yes, you're here, flying eyes. Who is this guy?
That's me.
That's you.
That's me flying my Grumman with the canopy open, which is the trademark of the Grumman.
I love it. So you're not afraid of falling out, and you're not afraid of your flying eyes falling out because they fit snugly to your head, and
so far hasn't happened. So just, you know, it seems to work.
Great. Now also you have this is the Grumman Cheetah.
That's my Grumman Cheetah, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you just recently purchased a Grumman Tiger.
A Grumman Tiger, which is a step up from the Cheetah. To me, it was my dream. Had been my dream plane all along. I think the Tiger for me represents a step up in capability, speed, and, you know, like lots of other things, without being a hike in costs, maintenance, and all of that stuff. Which to me makes sense, because I'm just another guy flying my plane, trying to afford it all. You know, aviation isn't cheap, unfortunately. But I think, like, when you work hard for your, you know, the things that you are passionate about, that's, you know, things happen. So
and it's all aluminum, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, exactly.
Now here's some trivia for the folks at home, and maybe yourself. Hopefully you know this. Maybe you know this. Grumman Aerospace, they were a company that was asked to put together plans and designing the United States Postal Service vans. You're familiar with that, right?
That's correct. Yes, you are absolutely right. Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because they're all aluminum, and they used to call them LLVs, which stood for long life vehicle, because they never rust.
That's amazing. That's really cool. That's really cool.
So,
nice.
In any case, I really appreciate your help and your time today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Enjoy the show.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks,
everyone.